I want to share some of my experiences growing up with my father and how he instilled in us to have the connection with the Rebbe. So I want to start off with saying that everything in our lives, everything that we did in our lives surrounded the Rebbe. That means if we needed to go shopping for suits, the Mashal Pesach was coming, then we would have to go, if it was like a Monday or a Thursday, we would have to go after Kriyas HaTorah, and then we must be back before Mincha, and a few minutes before Mincha. And if we went somewhere, we would usually go to downtown Brooklyn, a store called Mays, Alexander's, Olav Shalom, and this is where we would go shopping. Now what happened was we would get till we get to the store. Sometimes we'd be getting late. We'd be getting like 2 o'clock, 2:15. We all know one thing, that it gets a certain time and we're going to be late for Mincha, we have to pick the suit that we're wearing. So if we're wearing a black suit, a pink suit, a purple suit, that's what we're going to be wearing to 770 on Pesach and for the Seder. Because the train needed to leave and we needed to get to 770 on time for the Rebbe for Mincha. I remember one time I bought a suit and it was getting delayed and we couldn't take a train, and then we had to find a taxi and it was really getting late. And my father started to panic because it was getting late and it was going to be either late to Mincha or miss Mincha altogether. So we get into the car and he says, you know what, I'll give you extra money if you go fast, if you speed, if you take some lights, quickly, we have to get to Mincha, the Rebbe's coming out to Mincha. He didn't know anything, this guy. He was African American, he was from Brooklyn, and whatever my father was trying to bribe him with some money, or tell me he has to go, or it's important, or it's a rabbi. And it looked like my father was like panicking. So my father was trying any angle to try to get him to drive faster. So my father's thinking, and he says, you're from Brooklyn, right? Do you know the Brooklyn Dodgers? Yeah. If I tell you a few names of Brooklyn Dodger players, will you drive fast? Yeah, look, this player and that player and that player. Rabbi, I love it. Let's go fast. One light, another light, a third light. And Baruch Hashem, we made it all the way to 770 in time so we can be there when the Rebbe came out. I know that he told me, this is in the Mems, in the late Mems and the Nuns, at any time, as my brother said before, any time the Rebbe would go out, he'd come out, and he would have the opportunity to see the Rebbe, he would come out. I remember that he told me that even when the Rebbe would go to the Oil, he would want to make sure to work it into the schedule that he can come to 770 and see the Rebbe as the Rebbe goes to the Oil, and many times the Rebbe would give him coins, give tzedakah to the people that were standing there, just to have that extra opportunity. If the Rebbe was going to come out and be there, he wanted to have the opportunity to see the Rebbe. Everything in our lives was surrounded about the Rebbe and when the Rebbe's coming out, and what important part is it to be into 770 and to be by the Rebbe's minyan. L'mashal, I'll give you an example. Yom Kippur, right? So we were little boys, I was a little boy, and we would come in the morning, Shacharis, we'd eat a little bit in the morning, talking about 7, 8, 9 years old, and then we'd come to 770, and we'd start the davening on Yom Kippur morning, and then there would be Kriya, and then we have to be there for Kairim, but he needed to take his children, they needed to eat something, and he really didn't have anyone to take them to eat. So we knew that there was a certain time when we could limit the damage, and when was that? Was right after Kairim, by Marakayan. So the Seder in our family was that by Marakayan, after we would sing Marakayan, we would come upstairs to the locker here. I remember, I think Yudel Kelly used to be the Bal Tefillah here, and Shlomo Levitne would come in and try to make believe eating my sandwiches. And we would come in, eat quickly, and then he would run down onto the bleachers. Like this, he could be there for Birchas Kayanim, at least to see the Rebbe for Birchas Kayanim. But what was that? To make sure that to limit the damage, that he should be away only for the little part that he cannot be away from the Rebbe. I usually get up in my shul after Marakayan, there's nobody to come out in the common minion there at that time, I usually say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really not sure what happens after the service at this time. Usually this is the time we left with my father, and I'm not really sure, you're on your own, I'll see you guys later. But this is showing you again, in taking the opportunity, this and going, and we all knew, all the kids knew that Marakoy, and we went out, and that's what we were going to eat. Another thing that I don't remember, my older brothers remember, Mashal Pesach came, right? So the times when the Rebbe would eat upstairs for the Seder, my brothers, I think, thought that the Seder started by Chodesh and ended by Manashtana, because my father would ask the Manashtana to his father. As soon as he finished asking the Manashtana, he would stand up, Bushkid Yontiv, thank his father's Yartzei for running the rest of the Seder, and then he would go off to 770. Is that correct?
Yes.
Only later on they realized that there's more to the Seder than just Manashtana. My father taught me that everything needs to be done in 770, as we spoke before. Actually, my grandfather Shloshim in Tavshim Memches on Chavtes of Menachem Av was here, right here in this room, because he says, where else are we going to do the Shloshim for my grandfather? Was here in the room. Our brissen were all here, as Rabbi Kedlarski said. Remember, there's pictures of me, I have a bris right here. Where else would you want to do your bris? I think Mendy Dalfman was also telling my sister that when Mendy Dalfman was born, that his bris should be in 770 as well. So I remember the all brissen, everything. My father would say, a bracha needs to happen. What's a better place to make the bracha than in 770? We all had the merit, the schus, for the Rebbe to cut our hair for our Shnas. Now, my father did not want to ask the Rebbe. Didn't feel it was nice to ask the Rebbe. It wasn't felt that it was nice to ask the Rebbe to cut our hair for our Shnas. But he wanted it really badly. So what did he do? He thought of a big plan. He thought of a plan. What was his plan? He's going to tell my grandfather, and I think he asked Moshe Leib Rothstein, because the Moshe Leib Rothstein Adam and my grandfather Shul and President Rogers. So he told her, Moshe Leib Rothstein, maybe you could do me a favor. My father put him up to it. If they can go, please. And I would like, my grandfather said, I would like to take my grandchildren to the Rebbe and to ask for a bracha, and if the Rebbe could cut their hair. And so that's how it was. My father was going to ask, but he kind of knew when he can use my Zayda, the grace of Rav, to go in, and then we all had the merit. I think we went to Ganei Nachachten, I don't remember, went to Nachachten, and the Rebbe cut all of our hair. We had the schus that the Rebbe should cut our hair for our Shnas. Very special moment that that my brother spoke about, that he had, and I had the same moment, which was that every single Friday when I was growing up as a child, we had the schus that my father again would come very early to 770. We would try to be the first one in and the last one out. We would come on Friday and we would stand and wait for the Rebbe to go home. The Rebbe would go home for a few minutes before Shabbos. He would go out, go with the car, go home, and then come back. But every time he came in and out of 770, we had the schus to get coins from the Rebbe, which is beautiful. So every single week we would go and we would get coins from the Rebbe on the way in, and then the Rebbe would come back on the way out. I remember one time for myself, that one time I was standing there and getting some coins, and for some reason all the coins fell out of the Rebbe's pockets. Yeah, it just fell all over the floor. It must have been in the Rebbe's pocket. It wasn't in his hand. So I remember jumping down to the floor right away, grabbing all the nickels from the floor, taking it up and putting it back into the Rebbe's hand and giving it back to the Rebbe. This was because my father brought me to 770, so we had this opportunity to be here and to be able to get all the coins and to get the brachas from the Rebbe. One time on Friday, my younger sister, I was standing with my younger sister Bini, and we were standing on the walkway between the two steps there, and she already lit Shabbos candles. And now the Rebbe's coming up from his house, and my sister lit the candles, and she started to hide behind me because she already lit the candles. And she's going, hiding as I'm standing here. That was coming this way, and she's going more and more behind me. They never realized. Looked at me, asked me. She's saying it's in Shabbos licht. Did she light Shabbos candles? I said yes. So Rebbe just gave me coins, and just for myself. But again, the opportunity, because my father, I'm thankful to my father that he brought me here to 770 for every opportunity. But we knew also that when it's time to leave the 770, if you're not ready, he's leaving. So you better be ready no matter what. Not like in Chabad houses, the Chabad rabbis today, where the wife says another few minutes. We don't know which shirt to pick for the child. We don't know what color. What's the color scheme that the kids are wearing? You have to match. You wait. You come a little late to shul. No, when it was time to leave the 770, and the Rebbe, he wanted to make sure to see the Rebbe. When the Rebbe comes in or the Rebbe goes out, you needed to be on that train. You needed to go. Otherwise, you have to find your own way to 770. So we needed to be ready. I know my father had this interesting thing, which was that when the Rebbe was out, he did not want to leave or be away. So there's a shtickle problem. What's the problem? The problem is that we know that on Acher Pesach you have to drink 4 cups of wine, right? And you have to eat matzah at the Farbrengen. And 1 cup, which cup are you holding? And everyone brings their own wine, right? So you have to drink 4 cups of wine. Now my father was afraid that he didn't want to miss Chas v'Shalom if he's going to go and drink the 4 cups and water and this and that. Then maybe during Keshel Bracha, well, what happened was he would have to go outside, leave the room there, maybe go out to where some people needed to go out. So he was so worried about that. So there's difference of opinion. I remember that he used to start drinking those 4 cases like this. You should have go to the bathroom. I think the second day Pesach. No, but really, I think he started early in the day. He would bench at 2 o'clock and then start drinking it because he did not want to Chas v'Shalom be away from the Rebbe for 1 minute. I think you told me that he said that he would drink it after Kesher Bracha. He would drink his 4 cups of wine. He was so worried, the Rebbe gave him the source of the. This is just our personal perspective. He was so worried that on Sukkot, what's going to happen Chas v'Shalom if he's going to oversleep? It was Sukkot, and if he's going to go lay down, what happens? He had a Farbrengen and he went to bed 1-2 o'clock. What's going to happen? So first of all, his policy was he didn't go to bed. He didn't go into a bed. He would sleep on the couch. And then what he did is he set like 4 different alarm clocks in the house in 5 different rooms in case Chas v'Shalom he should be late or miss it. Chas v'Shalom. He was so worried. And Baruch Hashem, he never missed it, but he was so worried about it that he would have 18 people wake him up and 4 different alarm clocks. And Chas v'Shalom, he did not want to miss anything. Because my father taught us this and brought us with him, as you heard from my brothers and myself, we merited tremendous.
What are you trying to say?
Shloshim, Keruvim, and brachas from the Rebbe. Because we were here. So I just want to share with you too, because my father slept me here, and that's why I'm here to say that I'm indebted, I'm grateful to my father that he took us and brought us and slept us here. So first of all, we know that Rebbe, he would take the little Esrog and he would give it to everybody to shake. He would also go in a few minutes later, and he would give the Rebbe something to eat and to drink in the sukkah. So somebody needed to hold the lulav Esrog. So a number of years, my older brother Shalom Ber had the schus, but when he went on shlichus, after he went on shlichus, I had the schus to be able to hold the Rebbe's lulav Esrog for 5 to 10 minutes while people made the bracha on the lulav Esrog.